Hi everyone, welcome to Cabaret Corner. I'm your host, Ari Axelrod, and I'm thrilled to welcome to the corner today's guest, the incomparable Lina Koutrakos. Lina has been a singer both in the cabaret world and in the rock and roll world for decades, both in New York and Greece and everywhere in between, winning countless awards. She's also one of the most sought after cabaret directors and educators around the world. She's also a very good friend of mine and one of my mentors, and it was so lovely to have this conversation with her. Now, while we had some technical difficulties in regards to Lina's video, the brilliance that she says is still worth its weight in gold. So while you can't see her necessarily sharing her brilliance, I encourage you to listen to every word because she is, you are in for quite a treat. Without further ado, please welcome to the corner, Lina Koutrakos.
Oh, hi, Lina.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, Ari. I'm good. We're survivors, you and I.
It sucked, didn't it?
Yeah, it sucked. It was awful. And we were at the beginning, so nobody had come before us to tell us, hold on to your hat. Yeah, it sucked.
You were posting about it on Facebook, right? You were posting.
Big time. I was looking for kindred spirits to tell me this is how it's going to go. Hold on to your hat. And I seem to be the first person to tell other people about it.
Yep. It was because of your statuses that I realized, oh no, I have it. Oh man.
Oh, yeah, boy, we're lucky, my friend.
So,
Yep.
Cabaret. If I asked 50 different cabaret artists to define cabaret, I'd have 50 different definitions. So I'm asking everyone, and I'm very interested to know how you, Diva Koutrakos, how you define cabaret.
Yeah. Well, the very nature of it, geographically, spatially, is intimate. But I've seen Bruce Springsteen at Giant Stadium
Yes.
be intimate. So space might have defined its art form at the beginning. I've said this before. I think I stole it from Nancy Lamont while we were on a radio show in Amsterdam, a TV show in Amsterdam.
With Nancy
But
Pinero? Is it
uh-huh.
that one? Yeah.
Yes. And I think it was Lamont who said it. It is, cabaret is as unique as are the people who are doing it. And it is. So, and it's come a long way in the last few decades that I've been here. Instead of just the, sort of Sammy Kahn, Rodgers and Hammerstein American Songbook, it goes all the way up to people doing Led Zeppelin songs, Slow Down, or what do you call that? Naked. Yeah, naked. Yeah. So
How has the business aspect of cabaret changed?
oh my God. The good news and the bad news is it was so much less commercial. It was, well, I sound like every other old person in anything talking about how yesterday was better, but there were things about it.
Maybe it was better.
Now that's a good young man. Yeah, it was more about the art. We were somehow, God bless the cabaret club owners, somehow we were allowed to have 7 people in the audience and still do a show. And we do our show every single weekend, whether there were 100 people or 6 people in the audience. And you got to work on it. And there weren't, now this is a hell of a thing to say because you and I both teach cabaret and I'm a director in cabaret. And there were no directors. There was one director in New York named Bruce Hopkins. And he would direct, let's see, he directed Nancy Lamont, he directed me, he directed a lot of people actually back then. And the rest of us, and if we didn't use Bruce, we did shows and we didn't use anybody. It was us and our musical director, and we played. And reviewers didn't come at the beginning. It took a while for them to know who you were. So you got to work it out. Yeah, it's different.
And now you, as a director, have over your career, you've worked with some of the most incredible artists in the history of the art form. What has that been like for you?
You know, I was the waitress at Don't Tell Mamas and the booking manager there for a million years when it opened. And I watched as the waitress 2 shows a night, 4 nights a week, sometimes on the weekends when we used to be able to light candles in the back room, you know, on the tables. There was no fire rules. And we had a 1 o'clock show, and people went out at 1 o'clock in the morning to see shows. And now you can't even get people out on the weekends for an 11 o'clock show. But, well, you've been successful at it, but, you know, your clientele are under 25, they can stay awake.
Yeah, but also, I mean, still getting 100 people at 11:30, that takes blood, sweat, and tears to get those butts in those seats.
Yeah, no,
7 o'clock show.
no, for sure. But I used to watch all the shows in the back room. And who opened that room was your, I think, a recent guest of yours, the beautiful and ridiculously talented, and did I say beautiful, Karen Mason. And she was, I think, the early show, and the late show was the late, wonderful, incredibly talented Miss Nancy Lamont. And I watched them. I mean, I knew them before, but there I stood in the back of the room with my tray and I watched them. And I thought, now, why does that work so well? And why does that work so well? And why are both of these women completely different and working so well? Right? I had to figure it out. What were they doing? And then our other one was, we had Kathy and Mo, Maureen Gaffney and Kathy Najimy. And I watch them every single week. And then I watch Jennifer Lewis every single week. These people could not have been more different. And as a singer, I wanted to know what worked. And just as I figured out, okay, that's the rule, that's how it's done, somebody else would come, blow me out of the water, having done it completely differently. So being a director just continues to give me what I got standing in the back of the room. As a singer, I just want to have this conversation as much as I can. Watch what everybody brings to the table, which is completely individual and unique, and have the courage to not impose what I think is great on what that person is doing. That makes sense?
Yes. What do you find to be the greatest challenge when teaching a new cabaret client who is new to the art form, who might, because a lot of people think they know what cabaret is. They think that if there is a microphone, a stool, a piano, and a small dark room, that it's cabaret. And they come in there and they, come to my cabaret, and then they go into class with you. What's the hard part there, Lina?
So a million years ago, you could do anything you wanted in cabaret, from pop tunes to Irving Berlin, all in the same show. Variety was key. You wanted it all. Now, because of the way the world is commercially, you want to streamline it. You want to kind of define yourself. You want to be this singer. You want to be this jazzier singer. You want to be different. So a lot of that comes into play now, which is important. But it can't be important when you're coming in and starting to figure out who you are as an artist. It can't be important, because before you streamline it, you got to figure out who it is and open it all up. What the hardest thing is to give people permission, first of all, to be themselves. They want to get it up and get it going and get it streamlined right away. And the truth is you got to do the opposite for a minute. I need to know who you are. You need to know who you are. And then let's figure out what it is going to be, and I go back to the thing I stole from Nancy Lamont, it is as unique as the person doing it.
So when you work with a client to build a new show, what is that process like? I mean, I imagine it's very specific and unique for each client because, as per Nancy's definition of cabaret, it has to be. But are there things that are, hard and fast rules that you like to see as a director in a cabaret show?
I think the first thing that happens is bring me a song list of songs you think you want to sing. Don't pass any judgment on them. I'll do that. Just, get the songs to me so I have an idea what it is you want to sing and you want to express. If I don't have a clue, I can't help you. The other rule, as a director, that I learned along the way is I'm a good Greek girl. I have a work ethic that just won't quit. If you put me in the kitchen and tell me to clean it, I'm going to clean it better than anybody else. You tell me to direct a show, I'm going to do the same thing. So what I have to keep my eye on is I am not going to work any harder at anything than the client I'm working with is and wants me to. So they have to bring a lot to the table. And as you know, if I don't think what you're singing suits you or suits what you're trying to do, for me, I use the word translation a lot as a director. I have a vision of myself. I have a vision of a song I want to sing. And then ultimately, my job is to let that translate to an audience. And many times things get lost in translation. They are well intended, but they're lost in translation. I think that's almost more the job of the director. I am not interested in teaching people how to be cabaret singers. I'm not a good beginner teacher because the conversation that I want to have isn't that anymore. There are wonderful people who are great with beginner people, but that's not me. So, the more you bring to the table, the more you're going to get from me as well. So,
Shifting gears a bit, you mentioned that you are Greek, and very proud to be. How has your Greekness
yes.
Enriched your life as a human being and as an artist?
100% completely. I think the older I get, the more obvious it is too. And I like what you just said. So if from this point on you could refer to me as your Greekness, that would be really great.
Oh man! Oh,
So either
good.
either diva or your Greekness would be great.
Your Greekness. Okay. You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Okay. Yeah, of course it has. I'm learning as I get older to be a lot more subtle when I'm performing, but my natural habitat is to be anything but subtle. That's it. Yeah. I mean, look, we're very ethnic people and very expressive, and both of our religions come from something that is so baroque and traditional and steeped in pomp and circumstance. I love it. It's beautiful. So, and I mean, our famous people are Maria Callas. So,
Yeah.
of course, very dramatic, very, very passionate, I think is what it is. So, of course, it's very Greek, and I fly off the handle and I laugh too loud, and I want you to know what I mean at every second.
Oh
So,
my God. I feel so seen right now that you are speaking my language. It is all Greek to me, and it all makes sense.
Of course.
So one of the things that I think that really kind of bothers me about this, when I first got to New York, and all these people my age were doing things they were calling cabarets, but I had come to learn about cabaret from the conferences that I'd gone to in St. Louis when I was in college. And one of the things that stood out to me was the relationship that is nothing short of sacred between performer and music director. And seeing these people doing these shows that they were calling cabarets with almost no synergetic conversation happening, it really broke my heart. So for the people who might not know, can you speak about the importance and the significance of the relationship between a performer and a music director?
Listen, I'm going to say something that probably isn't going to be too popular amongst our cabaret friends, folks, peers. A lot of people who do cabaret at the beginning, not that they can't, but I think audiences too who think, cabaret, I don't really like it. I think they think it's devoid of musicality, first of all. It is more anybody can do it. You can just stand up on stage and invite your friends and perform. But if you go see a rock band, a pop band, anything, you expect it to be more musical. You expect, even if somebody can't sing or they're singing like they're an American Idol, there's a musicality to it. But a cabaret performer, somebody who just stands there and emotes and barely sings, that's not true. We are more than just singing. We are. We're a whole lot about a lyric. But I think what happens in the relationship with that person at the piano and that person at the microphone is once you start doing cabaret, you don't necessarily know that you are musical also. First of all, you got to hear him, her, whoever's at the piano. You got to hear it. You got to know that that belongs to you. And look, at the same time that I was doing cabaret for decades, I was selling out weekends at the bottom line with first an 11-piece band and then a 5-piece band, all the way from there in those days to Joe's Pub before lockdown. And that gave me, I always thought of myself as a singer first. I didn't know anything about emoting or just flying off the handle in a Greek way and being a singer. It took me a while to put them both together and be a cabaret singer.
Uh-huh.
But I had permission to be musical because of the band. And then I learned a lot more about them. That guy playing that sound, this chick playing this sound, and that I was an instrument with them, the one with the language. But that's what I was. And that helped me a lot, not only as a singer in cabaret, but more so as a director in cabaret. A lot of folks need permission to know that they are part of the music. Then the relationship between you and your musical director, which is as important, precious, and or destructive as is your love relationship. Right?
Oh,
But at least you have permission to be in that relationship at the beginning. And then it matters. Talk about a dance. I often talk about it as a sexual experience. At the very least, it's a very close dance.
yeah. So you were, one of Nancy Lamotte's very, very, very closest friends. And out of all of the people that have come through the cabaret world, she is the closest thing to a cabaret supernova that this art form has ever seen. What was it about her that made her different from the rest? What made her the Michael Jordan of cabaret?
The time and her style together, I think. She was far more subtle a singer and performer than many of us at the time, who were in this art form natural to it and encouraged to give you everything we had in an hour. We were also, most of us who had that sort of notoriety at the time, able to belt our brains out which was wonderful. That was, kind of where it came from being able to sing to the people in the back row when there were no microphones. So
Yeah.
it kind of evolved that way. Nancy could belt, but compared to my belt, she was coming in at 50%.
Yeah.
And I was blowing people, up against the back wall without a mic, with sound. And that was applauded. Not that it isn't great, but she didn't do that. So there was a subtlety that was coming into play and was much more pop world, certainly recording world translatable than somebody like me. I used to listen to her record and think, oh my God, I don't record like you at all. And she would say, but my voice is this big compared to yours, and it's reading better. And I learned to follow her lead. She was also more subtle on stage, and she started singing the Great American Songbook with Christopher Marlowe on the piano in a very jazzy kind of way. And that lended itself to a more popular audience. She called herself a saloon singer, a la Rosemary Clooney saloon singer, Frank Sinatra saloon singer. And I think that was much more available to everybody than us singing pop tunes rearranged, which was me, you don't own me. I love it. But it didn't translate to the masses. Mm-hmm. And she was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, a lot of people say that the cabaret really took a turn after she died. What? How was the void that Nancy's death created? How did the community fill it?
I have to say that it was also an AIDS epidemic thing. That was a big time. That was a big turn. Those city buses where they put them together now, and that thing, that was the AIDS thing, that thing in the middle. And yeah, Nancy, Karen, Jennifer, Sharon McKnight, Sally Mays, me, we were all part of that AIDS thing.
Right.
1 o'clock shows were happening before AIDS. 11's late now. So a lot of that. And the audience was hugely populated by the knowingly brilliant gay man in the 80s in the city, in Provincetown, in San Francisco. Nancy was from there, Sharon McKnight. So a lot of things changed. Our musical directors died during that period, one of Nancy's first musical directors, Brian Lasser, Karen Mason's right-hand man, my beautiful Dick Gallagher. All that sort of happened. So I think that was the kind of turn that happened. And Nancy was part of the singer for those times as well.
Yeah.
And then she sort of left at the tail end of the Boys. And a lot of that was the shift. It was a big, beautiful, creative, frightening time.
Yeah. Well, I think, I'm so much unforgettable and really miraculous art can come out of horrible times. So, what do you say to the people who tell artists that it's not our time right now? That it is the time right now is for nurses and doctors and frontline workers, and it's our time to wait. How do you respond?
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's our time to, I don't know this, but maybe it's our time to percolate. Maybe it's our time to change. I mean, I'm teaching online. You're interviewing online. I don't like it. I don't want it. The very nature of cabaret is live and face to face. None of this, the thing that happens in the moment, no lagging from the technicality of a piano track and a voice, blah, blah, blah. But what do I know? So maybe it is an artistic time and one we don't know. And I don't mean to get well versed in technology, that too. But maybe there's some behind the scenes work that we've never done running from one show to the next, creating and doing and trying to make sure that you keep yourself in the game so you can sing. You know, maybe this is our time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shifting gears again. In the world of sports, if you tear your ACL or break your arm or whatever, you're a sprinter who breaks your leg. You take time off, you rehab it, and people on your team, in the front office, they are eager and very excited for you to come back and play at your full capacity. But in the arts, if we have an injury, suddenly we are worth less than we were before the injury. There is this stigma around specifically vocal injuries.
I hate it.
And I know that you are somebody who has had a vocal injury, and I'm wondering if you can speak to that stigma and how you feel about it.
That's how I feel about it. This is what I say to it.
What is it?
Really?
What is it?
I hate it. I still have not made friends with my slight altering because of the whole thing, because it's more than just your vocal cords. At this point, it's my entire identity since I was like 8. I am so not willing to have that be altered, not at my command. Blah, blah, blah. I'm still fighting with it. It happened 4 or 5 years ago. Here's the bottom line. You lower your keys if you have to a little bit. You get pulled to stretch into a maybe different direction.
Yeah.
And I guess you got to be careful what you say, because all my life I was saying, well, are you a cabaret singer or a rock and roll singer? I mean, you do both. What are you? Both. It took me years to decide that I was able to say I'm both. I'm a rock and roll singer. I'm a cabaret singer. I'm a director. I'm a teacher. And I always used to say, and when I get older, I'm going to morph gracefully into my last life as a singer, which is going to be the root of how I sing everything. Bluesy. So I'm going to be a blues singer. Well, 4 or 5 years ago, I had some vocal cord damage and went through a whole journey of hell, more than hell. And guess who's a blues singer? There you go. You lower your keys and you keep singing. The bottom line is just sing.
Yeah.
It's more than just calisthenics. When you're really doing it, it's more than what you can do. It's everything that you are. So you find another way to express the next part of yourself. Yeah.
If you could say anything to the next generation of cabaret or rock singers, what would you say?
Oh, you know me, so you kind of know where I'm going to go with this. Have the balls to be yourself. See where that takes you. Surround yourself with talented people. And don't miss the moment of it. Everything you're doing on your way to wherever the hell it is you're going. Yep.
I'm putting everyone in the hot seat. You're already in the hot seat, but I'm putting you in the scalding hot ouch seat. You sing your favorite 8 bars from one of your shows.
Have you done that with everybody? And they've actually complied? Shoot, you didn't even warn me.
I warn nobody. I don't warn anybody.
Well, then, I don't know. You know what? I just said this to somebody the other day. When you're like at a wedding or something and they say sing and the band goes, well, what do you want to sing? And you go, I don't know. Like, you can't come up with one song? I can't come up with anything. What do I want to sing?
I know one of your favorite songs.
What?
That song you sing to Dick Gallagher. Or Midnight Train to Georgia. That's a great... use that as a teaching tool all the time.
L.A. prove too much for the man. Said he's gone back to find a simpler place and time. That's it. I was going to say, let him go.
Call yourself a blues singer, because I don't hear that at all. Oh my God, I'm kidding.
Oh, I was like, really? What do I sound like?
God, no.
Does it sound like a Broadway show singer?
No.
I missed my calling. You know what? You said the song you sang to Dick Gallagher, and I went completely blank. My Favorite Year by Michelle Brownman. Oh, that's my favorite song in the world. Yes. And if we're ever live again, I'll put it in the next thing I do again. Okay, now I have one thing to say to you before we sign off.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of directing your last show. Pleasure from soup to nuts. I loved that it was, at the time, the most authentic thing that you could possibly do. And we even said it in the opening patter. The two things you like the best are what? Say it.
And musical theater.
Right. And we put them together. And
called A Celebration of Jewish Broadway.
And talking. And a lot of talking. And, you know, I have to say that was I have a lot of wonderful collaborations with people, and you dance with people differently. You know, it's like kissing. You kiss different with different people. You and me and the show and the pieces of it and doing it at Birdland and you being newer to the scene than not and getting all you got from it. That was a great collaboration. Creatively, obviously, personally, you know, we are the same person from centuries ago somewhere. You're a little whippersnapper, but other than that, I love you madly.
I love you more. I think that you and your sister and I were triplets 400 years ago.
So
You have your hair, and now
right.
I have mine.
Right. But look, you told me to go gray, and I said, no, I don't want to be old. So look, it looks like a bald spot, but it's gray.
What's the problem with being old? It means that you lived.
You can already tell that I've lived. I don't need to like put arrows on my head. Here, look at this. Look at that. Wouldn't that be great?
There's some people like just they would do anything to make it to 40. And now people are like, oh, but I mean, I will never understand because this was done at 22. So.
Well, listen, I'm not going to be here when you're about 86 years old. So somehow get in touch with me and let me know how it's going and how happy you are about it.
I must tell you.
This was easy. This was fun. This was easy.
Oh, I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a question. It's my favorite question.
Okay.
You could invite 5 people to dinner. Who would you invite?
And what?
And why?
My mom, for obvious reasons. Dick Gallagher, for other obvious reasons. Elvis Presley, because I've always wanted to make out with him. I'm doing really well. I've got brilliant people that I want to have dinner with. Elvis Presley, I got 2 more. I should probably pick somebody brilliant, but, you know, who's brilliant? Dick Gallagher, my mother.
Brilliant.
Elvis Presley. Let's see, who else am I inviting to dinner? Oh, they don't have to be dead, right?
No.
Oh, I picked 3 dead people. Okay, let me bring them back. And then let's see, who do I want to come over for dinner? Oh, gosh. Golly, this is tough because we're gonna get off this interview and I'm gonna go, wait a minute, I really wanted that person and it would have made me look so smart.
You know what? You can text me and I'll put it into the show notes.
And then she said,
Just scratch that. These are my thoughts.
okay, I don't know who the other two are. I'll text you them. It's those three because I went to dead people. Go ahead.
Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, of course.
And
I know. Listen to who they all are. They're all rock legends. And Tina Turner. There you go.
wait, so my favorite put together, my favorite medley of all time is Karen Mason's Help Being Alive. And I did not know that was sparked in you.
Me?
Yes! She said in our interview that you had just seen Tina Turner going left, and then it was just Tina Turner and a piano, and she sang
Help. Yeah. I didn't.
Chris Denny's apartment. He started vamping Being Alive, and then it just
Wow. I remember that story. I didn't know that she took it from there. But yeah, Tina Turner doing Help. Now, I will say that she did that song Help at a place called the Ritz, which you don't know about because you're too young. And I want you to know that it was her comeback show. She hadn't made, What's Love Got to Do with It, hadn't come out yet. And she was solo after Ike and did her solo comeback show at the Ritz. And I stood in the front and looked up at her ridiculously gorgeous legs and watched that kind of passion perform and thought, oh my God. And a week later, my band and I was 29 years old, did the Ritz to 1,000 people.
Oh my God.
People who know me now as a director should really go on my website. I was something.
Should I call you Tina now too? Your Greekness.
Your Greekness and diva. It really pleases me.
And Diva Turner? No.
No.
You and Tina both played the
No. You can call me what Jennifer Lewis calls me.
Which is?
Lina Koutrakos.
And on that note, Lina,
Ari,
thank you so much. I love you to the moon and back.
Love you too.
More.
Love you too. Talk soon.